Hello everybody, it's KJ and I'm here to do my wrap up for the Tome Infinity and Beyond Readathon. And I read a lot of good sci-fi this week. Yeah, you heard me. This week. So the readathon lasted for 2 weeks, but I was struggling with a migraine for the first week, really going into the second week, but what are you gonna do? So I was going to vlog because my usual style is to vlog daily as I read and put it together into a wrap up. But today's a sit down wrap up because I started out the week with a migraine and struggling with a book that I decided to DNF. So I was reading The Cage of Zeus by Sayuri Ueda, translated by Takami Nieda, and this was what I was buddy reading with Kat at Catadactyl, and we both kind of decided to DNF this. So it wasn't just me, just we both were like on the same page with this. So on top of having the migraine for the first week, I was also struggling with this book and I did not get very far. Yeah. This was supposed to be interesting for me because I wanted it to be a progressive sci-fi dealing with gender and sex within this sci-fi world. And what I got was an oddly stilted... At first, okay, the first thing I said to Kat was, didn't know we were going to be reading a textbook about living on Mars, because that's what we got. It wasn't bad. Like, I was like, okay, interesting research stuff. Like, I don't mind like hard sci-fi in terms of like the science. Hi puppy. But I just so then we started to get into like the gender aspects, which is like kind of the core of the story, and I'm gonna fault both like where the story's coming from, where it, you know, Japan's not very progressive, so you know the story's maybe trying to be progressive but not succeeding, and then the translation is part of it as well because they're not using appropriate language for the translation, and they were definitely not consistent in their language use either. So I started to get very, very iffy, and we were only like 30 pages into it and I was like, So most of it was just language like a transgender and just lots of stuff that I was like, and the whole concept was that a lot of these people that like their science was so far advanced that it's easy to be transgender, that their adults can just switch their sexes constantly. They can just go back and forth as many times as they want. Like, that's just how far advanced they've come. And it made me go, that's not what being transgender is. Transgender people are not sitting there going, no, I'm just gonna switch back and forth all throughout my life. So already I was like, no, and then the English translation is using not appropriate language, so I was like, And then we get to the part of the rounds who are intersex, and the English translation uses intersex, and they are basically illegal because of the way the technology is. Like, it's okay to switch your gender, your sex back and forth, but it's illegal for you to choose to be both. You cannot have both sets of sexual organs. You cannot choose to be both and register as intersex. And I was like, but intersex people exist. So I was like, I don't know what this book is trying to say, like, about transgender people and intersex people currently, let alone in this society. Like, I was like, okay, like half the time it would say something good and be like, oh well, people are allowed to marry whoever they want, like we're not supposed to bring our biases into this, just, you know, whatever. And I'm like, okay. But then we'd be reading all this shit nonsense and I was like, I don't know if I can keep reading about this. I have to admit that I'm still curious about this. I just didn't want to keep reading it for the readathon. Like, I knew this was going to drag me down. So Kat and I basically decided to DNF it, and I said this is going to be a book that I might continue to pick up over the course of a few months. I'm just not in a hurry to read it right now. Like, I still want to read it, not in a hurry. I want it to be a progressive view of the sex and gender in sci-fi, and so far that's not what I'm getting. But again, I'm only 30 pages into it, and you know, 'cause I want it to be like a translation error and just be like, I'll push through this. So who knows? I'm gonna keep reading it eventually and see where it goes, but for the purposes of this readathon, I did DNF this, and I was like, uncomfortable at best, so can't rate it, didn't finish it. So I moved on to my next book, and by now it was, I don't know, it was the start of the second week, okay? Because this, plus the migraine, I was not having a good first week of this readathon, alright? But I was looking forward to the next books. So, the next book I picked up was Starflight by Melissa Landers. So this was for the asteroid belt, and basically it was also a new to me author, so it was also kind of my Ship D replacement book since I was DNFing The Cage of Zeus. So this one was the one that was giving me Firefly feels when I read the flap cover with the kind of like a ragtag crew of outlaws, misfits that become like family and just, you know, do stuff to survive, outlaw stuff. I was like, yes. So it did give me Firefly feels, and I was just thoroughly enjoying this for most of the second week. It took me a while to get into this, not for the book's fault, just getting over the migraine and getting over this, like so this I was reading for most of the second week of the readathon, even though it's short. I honestly really enjoyed it. It was very fast-paced, very much an adventure, like a really good young adult sci-fi adventure. Like, this brought out my love of sci-fi so much that I was like, yes. It's been so long since I've read good sci-fi that I was it warmed my heart so much. Yes, I loved it, and it did give me Firefly feels. Just, you know, I miss Firefly. So yes, the characters Solara and Doran are from Earth, and basically they're traveling to the outer realms, and a bunch of stuff happens, and they end up having to travel with this small ship called the Banshee, and they just have a small crew of outlaws, and just a lot of stuff happens. This is one of those books that like, space opera adventure, yes, a lot of stuff happens. There are space pirates and people called the Deva, really good like assassins and torturers. They're hunting down the crew. Yeah, there's like intergalactic conspiracies and some soap opera-esque storylines that I was like, interesting. So I loved this so much. Like, it just very fast-paced, very quick, easy read, and I loved the characters. There was even a sugar glider called Acorn. It just cute. So I loved the crew. I wanted more from the crew. Like, I wanted more from the ragtag crew and their like companionship and learning to become family. And then especially by the end, there was so much stuff happening. It was like almost like the book couldn't decide where it was going to end. Like, it kept almost cycling through like what I would say were really good endings, but then it was like it kept having to wrap up certain subplots, so that it kept having to like tack on another big thing and then another big thing and then another big thing. And there would be these big events and big revelations, and we weren't necessarily getting the like emotional impact for it and the time to really feel those revelations, because another big thing would be happening. And I was like, so like we were being really rushed at the end, and I was like, like, yeah, like I slow down, like I want to spend time with these people. I want to spend time with the family, like slow down with my family. It was really good, and I honestly really enjoyed it. And the fact that I wanted more and I wanted to spend more time with these people, with this crew, like that's a good sign. There is a second book out, so I'm going to pick it up because I definitely wanted more. The voice was really good. Solara and Doran had a hate to love relationship. Their snarky banter was really good. The banter for like the whole crew was really good. Like I was really enjoying that aspect. Awesome. I loved it. Loved it. I think I would give this 4 stars. Kind of almost 4.5 stars, just because I did want more from like the crew's relationships, and I did want the pacing to slow down just a little bit. And like it could have been a little bit longer. Like I know it's young adult, but like it could have been a little bit longer. And it could have given us a little bit more meat for the characters and their like interpersonal relationships, so that we could really get to care about the characters and what was happening to them, so that by the time the revelations, the big revelations happen at the end and all these big events are happening, you're really getting the impact of like these oh shit moments. Like I wanted a little bit more of that. So 4.5 ish. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this, but I really enjoyed it. Really good. It really kickstarted my love of sci-fi. So yes, Starflight by Melissa Landers. Yeah, good. All right, so that took me most of the week to read, not gonna lie. And then I got through the asteroid belt, okay, finally. And then I picked up the Binti. So this was getting me through Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So this was really short, so I was able to read this in just like an hour or so. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. It was interesting. I was excited to read it because I really wanted to delve into like an African inspired sci-fi like that. That was what was really drawing me into this. At first it was very telling, like just a lot of telling happening, and most of the story is telling, I will admit. And there's some inconsistency for the character of Binti, some of like the emotional reactions and how Binti's reactions are written, but she is supposed to be 16 and like a genius, so I really liked that. And there's just a lot of interesting sci-fi aspects. It's almost fantasy sci-fi to me, but it's super good, and I think it's inspired by the United Arab Emirates as well. So it had this very interesting blend of cultures going into it, that once like you add the aliens and all this technology that is sort of explained, not entirely explained, but sort of explained well enough that like I just kept reading. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is that you're talking about, but I'm gonna keep going with it. Like, it's good. Once the aliens were introduced, I was there. That was a very fun storyline to me. And by the time like it all got wrapped up, like the ending got me. Like the ending got me. And I know there's, I think, 2 other novellas that go along with this, so I'm definitely gonna pick them up, because just, yeah, the ending got me. And I was definitely very interested in the worlds and like the alien races, and just all of their cultures that they have and the history of these worlds was very interesting. It's just very interesting, and I liked Binti because she was a strong female character, especially when she's dealing with these aliens and she's the only one and she's trying to survive. The whole aspect of bringing in the, I'm not sure how to say it, the Otize? Otize? It's the sweet smelling like mud that Binti and like her people bathe with, and they like just slather their skin in it, and she's always putting it on her skin and on like her braids and her hair, and that is so significant to the story. And so bringing in this huge part of her culture and making it significant even in space into this sci-fi world, and taking this piece of her culture that should be probably left on the planet and taking it with her and still having it be relevant and important. And it just, I was like, I love that. Like, I was like, yes. And it's just, it's lovely. I loved it, and I like that it is actually from like the Himba people, and it's just, I love that aspect. Like, that's just really awesome. And I think like the writing could have been improved. Like, there still are like some typos and stuff. That's why I was like, I feel like it could have been edited again, and just there's certain things like Binti would just like say something and shout out something, and I was like, where is this reaction coming from, you know? So sometimes I was just like being thrown for a loop with Binti's reactions, because sometimes they weren't being explained or like followed through with the emotional reactions. So that's why I was just, there was some just small minor inconsistencies with Binti's reactions, but overall I was like, I'm really loving it. And I love that she took control of her own fate and basically what happened with the aliens, and it's just, I really love this, and I'm definitely going to pick up the next two because the ending got me and I need to know more. Like, I need to know more about Binti's story and what happens, and I want to know more about the story. And it's just, yeah, this I would also give 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So the next one that I managed to make it to was Uranus, because I read All Systems Red by Martha Wells. The Murderbot Diaries. I love Murderbot. So Murderbot is a security bot that basically hacked its own governor module so that it could be left alone and wouldn't have to necessarily take orders, so that it could just watch TV and do a half-ass job. I was like, yeah. Murderbot also has anxiety around people, and it's just same. So many times Murderbot would just get up after the humans were talking to it, it would just go stand and stare at the wall, and I was like, same. Same, Murderbot. It was like, yeah, no, please don't talk to Murderbot about its feelings, please, no. I love this so much, and it was actually humorous. It was very adventurous as well, but it did have moments of humor because Murderbot is funny. Murderbot's anxiety is funny. Like, I connected with Murderbot and its anxiety, okay, and its desire to just sit and watch TV, or just alternately throw itself to the danger and see what happens. I was like, okay, sounds good. This was just, I loved this. I also read this in just a couple hours. Like, it's also a nice short novella, and I love this. So Kat, a Catadactyl, my buddy Reed, had also been talking about this and recommending it, so I'm so glad I read this because this was awesome. This was so awesome. Like, just, and by the time I finished it, I was like, where's the next one? I do know that the second one recently came out. I'm gonna pick up the second one, even though I know I should probably pace myself because there probably won't be another one for a while. I should probably pace myself, but I like Murderbot, so Anyway, this one was really good. I like the sci-fi stuff that was involved. It's not too hard sci-fi, but I like that there are humans and augmented humans and also the constructed humans, which would be Murderbot, like these security bots who are partially organic and partially robotic. Security bots, they're basically contracted out through companies who supply parts and equipment. Mostly it sounds like to like surveyors and companies who go to planets, and so most of them have to have security bots with them. And so Murderbot is there with some humans and shit goes down while they're there, right? But yeah, I like Murderbot. I like this book. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I just really liked it. It was humorous. The writing style was funny and just, it was there. You understood the tech it was talking about. It like didn't go over my head, even though like compared to Binti, like the tech Binti would be talking about sometimes, I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? What is this thing you're describing? What is it? I don't know. You're talking about mathematics like it's magic, which is interesting, but what? This just talked about stuff that I could understand. Like, it's not so far advanced out of our natural conception of technology as we currently have it, that it's not like it's magic. Like, it's not so far advanced that you're like, what? So I enjoy that. Like, I understood the technology they were talking about, and it was really good. It, you know, it kind of reminds me of Lost in Space, the reboot that Netflix just did. It reminded me a little bit of that, Lost in Space. This was like 4.5 stars for me, okay? I really wish I could have gotten like a description of some of the humans that were in here, but Murderbot never described any of the humans. We just got names, lots of names. So yeah, that was my own personal thing, was that I kind of wanted to know what the humans look like, but then like Murderbot doesn't care about like itself, what it looks like. It kind of makes sense that it doesn't necessarily care what the humans look like either. None of the humans, none of the security bots are described ever throughout any of this. It kind of makes sense. For me and my own construct, I'm like, what do any of these people look like? But it was still easy to tell the humans apart because they were all given voices and they were all given personalities, so that was a really good thing. It was a very nice thing for such a short book. Yeah, so Uranus is my home planet because that's the one I made it to, so yay! That's what I made it to. So unfortunately, I did not make it to read any of these books. I did not make it to read Brightly Burning by Readathon, which I still want to read, but I own it, so I will get to it eventually. I did not read A Wrinkle in Time. It's short, I still want to read it. And I didn't get to Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. And Not So Average Joe was saying that Sleeping Giants is like the movie The Iron Giant, but for adults and creepy. And I just, yes, like The Iron Giant is still one of my favorite movies, so when Joe said that, I was like, So I still really want to read this as well, because thanks to these 3 books, like I'm still like in a good sci-fi mood. So I do like really want to get to these books. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. I don't know if I'll finish them before the end of the month. I do know that they're talking about doing a second round. I'm stoked for a second round already because there are still some really good sci-fi books that came out, like even just recently, that I would love to read. But I know they said they're gonna like up the challenges. And I'm just like, I'm ready. So these are the books. Okay, these are the books. I only tried to read this one, but this was what I managed to read. So I loved all 3 of these books. They were all 4, 4.5, 4.5, 4.55. They were all really high ratings for me. I really enjoyed all of them, and I really want to pick up all of their sequels. Like, that's how much I like them. I'm ready for the sequels, okay? And I am ready for the next round of Tome Infinity and Beyond, okay? It sounds like it might be in like 6 months, February-ish. I'm ready. Okay, so this is it. This was my wrap up. It's, didn't get to read as much as I wanted to, but here I am. Here I am. I had a lot of fun, and I'm still thinking about these books that I just read. And I'm really looking forward to continue to read some good sci-fi books, and I'm just, I'm still hyped. I'm still hyped from this readathon, and I can't wait for round 2. So yeah, that's great. All right, so all right, so that's it. Give this video a like if you liked it, and comment down below what you guys thought of it. If you would read any of these books based on my rambling thoughts, and if you have read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. And if you have participated in this readathon and you've done a wrap-up, let me know so I can go check it out. And that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.